Hey guys, welcome to today's Steady Trader YouTube Live. Well, I've had enough. I am stopping out of this trade. And I'll show you what that trade is here in just a minute. The reason I want to talk about this today, because yesterday during a coaching session with a family office, we discussed, starting to use stops not only in terms of price. In other words, if you buy a stock, let's say at $50, you may have a stop loss at $45, for example, but also using a time limit. And that's actually exactly what I'm doing with this trade. I do this quite a bit, particularly when something doesn't go in a certain direction, or if it does nothing directionally speaking, and I have a directional trade on. And that's actually exactly what's happening here. So let me show you guys quickly what this trade is and what my rationale is, why I'm getting out of it. And then we'll talk about what happens if all of a sudden the stock, or in this case it's an ETF, starts going in the direction that I want it to go now that I'm stopped out. What happens? Let me show you. Let's turn this thing around. Here we are. So the trade, it's just so you actually can see it. We are short the S&P 500. We shorted the SPY ETF. You can see we did this. This is for clients. This is what clients get by email and on the website. We did this on the 10th of May. And so far, if we now go over to the actual chart of the SPY, you'll see it is exactly at just about $172. That would be right around here. Let me make this a little bit larger so you guys can see this. Now, the trouble with all this is that, even though I'm not really losing any money, it's just a boring sideways trot. And when I open this position, and again, let me quickly show you here. When I opened this position here on the 10th of May, I told myself, listen, I'm going to give myself about a week or so and see if the S&P will gain a little bit of downside traction. And it really has hardly done anything on the downside. In fact, if we go into, say, let's go into like a 60-minute chart, just so you guys can see this. Or that's dumb. Let's look at a five-minute chart. You can see that really over the past week or so since that position on, it really hasn't. It really hasn't done anything. It's just chopped sideways like this. You can see a little bit of a drop off early this week, but we're just kind of chopping it back and forth. And to me, if I have a directional trade on, that's not something that I like to see. Now, the question, of course, is what do we do if, let's say, for example, let's assume for some reason today or maybe Monday, all of a sudden the S&P does start to drop. Well, I'm going to set a certain level below which I'm going to start setting alerts, right? So I'm going to set alerts below the low end of this range. So going back to the 5-minute chart, I'm going to set an alert if this index in this case were to drop below, say, this level here, which would be if you kind of want to draw it like this, would be probably around, let's call that $270. And I'm even going to set an alert if it starts to break above the upper-ish range of end of this range, which is probably closer to, let's call it 274, maybe even a little bit less, 273, to kind of just give us an alert. Well, if that happens, then I'll be happy to do a trade again. But right now, this thing is sideways. And given the fact that I didn't do a sideways trade here, I made a directional bet. I really just, don't really feel like remaining in this trade. So the lesson here today that I hope I'm getting across is to use not only price stops, but also give yourself some sort of a time stop. And we do this in every position. Again, we're doing it now for some of our family office and private banking clients as well, because they want to start doing that as well. And certainly that's something we talk about to our retail clients as well, which of course is what the Clubhouse and all that kind of stuff that we have. So I hope this is helpful, folks. Have a great weekend. And I will see you guys in the next YouTube Live, which will probably be on Monday. Take care.